60 Minutes Rewind.
Abraham Lincoln established the Secret Service on April 14, 1865. He created the service to combat counterfeiting. A shame presidential protection wasn't part of the mandate, because that same night, President Lincoln was shot. Tonight, we have a rare look inside today's Secret Service, and for the first time, the service has allowed access to its intelligence division, the men and women who try to analyze the mind of the assassin. For 5 years, the Intelligence Division has combed through the nation's prisons and mental hospitals, asking the assassins themselves what drove them to violence. This information is critical because, as the director of the Secret Service, Brian Stafford, told us, there are more threats to a president than you might imagine.
We intervene 25 times a month of people that have an unusual interest, direction of interest towards the president.
How many?
25.
25 a month?
Yes. We open up approximately 3,000 cases, protective intelligence cases a year.
3,000 new cases a year, and this is one of them now. A threat to the president coming into the Intelligence Division.
And how do you know we're talking about the president?
The Intelligence Division has the seemingly impossible job of sorting through the 3,000 new threats and figuring out which ones are real.
Okay, well, that person's name is familiar.
If anyone knows whether the caller may be a killer, it's Special Agent Brian Voskuil and Secret Service psychologist Robert Fine.
It's a myth to think that there's a profile of American assassins and near assassins.
These people are neither demons or monsters, nor are they larger than life.
They know because they've met them. Fine and Voskuil went to prisons and mental hospitals across the country to tape interviews with assassins and with those who had come dangerously close.
We found 83 persons who engaged in that behavior in the last 50 years in this country.
Their interviews included Arthur Bremer, who shot presidential candidate George Wallace, and Mark Chapman, who murdered John Lennon. Every stalker was analyzed right through John Hinckley's attack on Ronald Reagan.
Attacks on public officials are not impulsive actions where people suddenly snap. They occur after days, weeks, and months of thinking, deliberation, activity, planning.
Fine and Voskuil call that planning the pathway to attack, and they believe it is the key to stopping assassins before they strike. Their research is called the Exceptional Case Study Project, and the key finding is this, that most assassins follow similar motivations and a common course of planning. That idea has revolutionized the understanding of assassination. The study was launched after the Secret Service confronted several close calls in the 1980s. Agents discovered 4 would-be assassins at work during 2 presidencies, and the stalkers didn't fit any kind of a profile. One of them was this man. They call him J.D.
I decided I was going to dress up like a law enforcement person.
J.D. stalked the president across the country for 3 years, robbing banks to pay for the travel.
Why does he worry you more than others?
The persistence and the sophistication that he showed in his efforts were very sobering.
J.D. was once a bright medical student, but after a mental breakdown, he became convinced that aliens controlled his life.
He perceived that the aliens were giving him a choice of 2 kinds of targets, either for him to go and kill a number of little children, or for him to assassinate the President of the United States.
And if he didn't do either?
He would be poisoned in a slow, horrible death by the aliens.
J.D. was interviewed in a prison psychiatric ward. He let us show part of the interview where he reveals to the Secret Service that he was dressing like one of them to get close to the president with his .38 caliber handgun.
I decided I was going to dress up like a law enforcement person. So I bought a suit and shoes and bought a trench coat and had a haircut. And then I went north up above Flint because I was looking for a location where I could test fire the gun.
You show this interview to agents now, all around the world. What are they supposed to make of this?
An attacker or a potential attacker is often likely to try to look normal, sound normal, make efforts to blend in, and the capacity to organize himself or herself is far more important than a mental health diagnosis.
J.D. never opened fire because he couldn't find a way through the last line of defense, the president's security team.
The line is ready.
The men and women who shadow the president are trained here in a town built by the Secret Service outside Washington. The training center was set up after the Kennedy assassination. Today, it relies on realism to harden the agents who make up the Presidential Protection Detail. This is where the Secret Service teaches tactics. In this motorcade drill, for example, the agents aren't told whether they will face an attack, when it might come, or how. The service believes that agents will lose their edge without this kind of intense training, so even the most experienced agents are retrained again and again. The training center covers 400 acres. It even has an airport with 1/2 of an Air Force One. Here, the president, played by an agent, arrives to a crowd of supporters. The agents on the rope line don't know whether there will be a sniper in a tree or an assassin in the crowd. Based on the interviews with real assassins, these agents are now taught that their gunman is probably suicidal and convinced he has nothing to lose.
A number of them saw themselves almost as being backed into a corner, in despair and without much hope. They got to that point through inevitably a set of sad experiences, life reversals, financial reversals, family situations that were quite unhappy, some instances, child abuse.
They tended to see attack, assassination as an acceptable way and possibly a successful way to resolve whatever desperation, whatever problem they were struggling with.
Because no matter what happens after they try that, they know either they are going to be dead or their life is going to be changed in every way.
That's correct.
Tell me this. When a would-be assassin has selected a target, is he fixed on that target? He's going to kill that guy.
There is quite a bit of switching from one target to another.
You mean they don't care who they kill?
Well, Arthur Bremer, for example, switched from a president to a presidential candidate.
From Nixon to Wallace.
He was frustrated by efforts to, and was unsuccessful in attacking the president, and saw what he perceived to be a more accessible target.
This is fairly common, you're telling me.
It's quite common.
It's quite common.
John Hinckley, for example, stalked President Carter during the campaign year of 1980. He obviously later shifted targets and injured 4 people.
Shot President Reagan.
That's correct.
The study revealed not only similar motives, but an astonishing similarity in the way attacks are planned. For example, not one of the assassins ever made a direct threat to their intended target. On the other hand, most of them did tell someone that they knew something about what they were planning. And many attackers spent months, even years, doing their homework.
A number of assassins and near assassins had made active efforts either to learn about previous assassins and attackers or to communicate with them.
They write each other.
Sometimes they do.
We're all going to die. We're all going to die if he's not out by the millennium.
Now, the Secret Service is using what it's learned to teach its agents how to tell whether someone like this is a real threat.
That was an omen that the devil's going to kill all of us.
David Swink is not insane. He is a psychotherapist who's been training agents for more than a decade. This class is based on the assassin study.
Do you have a gun by chance?
No, I don't have one.
Okay.
I'll get one though. I can get one maybe.
The agents have to figure out whether Swink's character is merely raving or whether he is on a path that leads to an attack. Swink plays Mr. Taylor, a character based on real people the service has met in the past. Taylor has mailed a threatening letter to the White House. He believes the president is Satan.
Satan! Had to get out of there. He's been in there too long. If he's not out there for the millennium, we all going down.
And what makes you believe that?
Because I know I have a vision.
What will do it? What will stop
Somebody
this?
got to stop him. Kill him. Kill him.
Kill who?
Kill Satan.
Okay.
Send him back to hell.
Let's freeze it right here. He won't move.
Barry Spodak is another psychotherapist.
So far in the interview, what's the...
He's helping the agents analyze Mr. Taylor's delusion that an angel named Claire is telling him what to do.
Do we have any evidence at this point that he is carrying out directions of her?
Nothing yet that I...
So that's something we would want to ask directly, okay? You know, have you ever done things before the Claires told you to do? What kind? Have they ever involved harming another human being? In about 10 seconds, he's going to come out of roll, he's going to pick up right where he was.
So she's pure light. She's like a heavenly body.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Taylor. You have these visions that Claire produces. Has she ever given you specific directions, anything?
These are exactly the kinds of questions that agents are asking in interviews today. Does the person who made a threat actually pose a threat?
Another strategy that you could have done was, what if anything would you do? So you're putting me in that sort of hypothetical situation while I'm angry, and you might get more information about, am I able to carry out a threat?
Quietly, all over the country, Secret Service agents have established ongoing relationships with suspects, even arranging for counseling and psychiatric care. The Intelligence Division manages these people sometimes for years, keeping track of where they are and what's on their minds.
Think about this for just a moment. In all these interviews that you did, what was the most unexpected thing? What surprised you the most?
I think the ordinariness of these people, the banality of it all, that we didn't find demons or evil people.
Why would anyone involved in an assassination or an attempted assassination talk to you two?
They felt remorseful, they felt regret, and they felt to the person that it had not worked out for them in the way that they had expected it might.
The story will continue after this.
When the service started this research 8 years ago, its only aim was to stop threats directed against the president, the First Family, and other officials. But it turns out these days, it's being used for much more.
He walked into an office on the 34th floor and began to shoot.
The epidemic of so-called targeted violence that has terrorized the nation might be better understood as a result of the Secret Service study. Police departments want to know whether they can spot people who are planning attacks on schools, churches, and offices even before they strike.
There's a number of pre-attack behaviors.
Police departments have snapped up 28,000 guides to the study. The message to cops across the nation is this: when tracking a stalker, pay attention to what they do, not who they are, because you won't find their picture in the post office.
Assassins and near assassins, the age range was 16 to 73, men and women, variety of backgrounds and ethnic backgrounds. More than half had gone to some degree of college. Fewer than 25% had ever been arrested for any offense involving a weapon. I mean, they didn't fit any profile.
Do you believe that the information in the exceptional case study is stopping assassination attempts today?
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
It has become a tool as important to the service as the weapons that you're men and women train with?
Oh, probably a more significant tool than the weapons. Again, the weapons, if the weapons come out, we've already failed.